When I was about 10 years old, my family moved to an old house. My bedroom was the largest, and I always felt uneasy in it, even in the daytime. I had nightmares about dead people emerging from the walls and ceiling every night. The house had a funny layout. If you wanted to use the bathroom, you had to go through a dark, narrow hallway and be met with a direct view of the staircase which led to the front door, which at night looked like a black void. So besides the nightmares and it being a creepy old house, it was fine. Until it wasn't. We would always lock the door at night, as one does. One morning, my mother said she heard someone ringing the doorbell at 3 a.m. She checked if maybe the neighbors had an emergency and needed our help, but there was nobody at the door. This kept happening for a while. One night about 3 a.m., we all heard the doorbell and went to check it out. The door, locked twice in the evening, was wide open. Nobody at the door. We were all really freaked out. My mother paid for a holy mass to be held in the name of tormented souls the following day. Not sure why that would have helped, but nothing weird happened after that. About 8 years ago when I was 13, I was up till 3 a.m. playing Xbox online, as you do. I remember feeling peckish and wanting some late night cereal, so I finished my game and went to go grab some munch. I turned on the hall lights and checked on my little brother, 9 at the time, and my little sister, 5 at the time. Being the oldest sibling was just something I'd do. They were both fast asleep. As I got to the top of the staircase, I started to hear a little girl talking to herself. It completely creeped me out, but I thought maybe it was my sister sleep talking. But then it was more clear, and I could really hear the sound of this girl's voice, and it was not my sister. I heard the voice coming from downstairs, and I got this horrible sickening feeling inside my stomach. I got on my knees at the top of the staircase and put my head down the stairs to hear the voice clearer, which then I figured the voice was coming from the kitchen. Maybe she sensed I was there after that, because when I tried to hear her clearer, she left. And then I heard footsteps run off. I absolutely shit myself and ran into my mom and dad's room telling them what happened, to which they both just told me to go back to bed. Needless to say, I did not get that bowl of cereal or sleep much that night. It was only a few weeks ago, now that I'm 21, that my mom told me about the little girl who lives in our house. She said she feels her presence every now and then, mainly at the bottom of the stairs. Which makes sense, as our 2 dogs now and our old dog used to stare up at the staircase at nothing and sometimes bark like crazy. To this day, when I watch TV, I sometimes feel her looking at me from the stairs, although I haven't heard anything quite like I did when I was younger. Many years ago, when I lived in Northern California, I was apartment hunting. I had been looking on Craigslist, but also decided to walk a neighborhood I liked. I saw a sign in a window of a fourplex saying there was an apartment for rent. My significant other and I made an appointment to check the place out. It was perfect on paper. 2 bedrooms, a backyard, big living room. My partner chatted with the landlord while I toured alone, checking out storage, number of outlets, etc. I walked down the hall past a bedroom to my right and into a sunny bedroom on my left. There was a wall of built-in storage and closets from the 60s. I put my hand on the knob, and the second I touched it, my vision goes black, and in the middle is either a close-up of someone covered in blood or muscle with no flesh covered in blood, just dark and red. I let go of the knob like it's hot, and my first thought is that I've been watching too many crime shows. For some reason, I say, "Hello," out loud. I open the closets, no bodies, of course, and then slowly make my way back to the living room. Landlord and significant other are talking, but I'm not listening. I'm looking down the hall and I knew there was someone standing there. Couldn't see it physically, but there was a tall man in a red flannel shirt and blue jeans, like a tall Al Borland. He looked at me with curiosity. I got a strong "can you see me" vibe. My partner loves the place. Can't stop talking about it all the way home. I don't say anything other than I wasn't sure about it and was a little uncomfortable. That night I dream about the apartment. It's in black and white. Same sunny room and I'm just standing there. That's all I remember, but I woke up gasping like the dramatic way people wake up from a nightmare in movies. As soon as I wake up, I calm down. Next day, I tell my significant other everything, but that it really is a great place and we should take it. I think it's all in my head. They call the landlord and I can't hear him on the phone, but my significant other looks at me sharply. They hang up. My significant other says the landlord felt that since we are taking the place, he wanted to tell us that his brother recently died there of a heart attack in the hallway. I don't care if I was being ridiculous. I said, fuck that. Call back and tell them we aren't taking it. I'm too old for roommates that won't pay rent. I don't think I know anyone who would say that they felt sad when the ghosts in their house finally left. Surprisingly, that's how I felt. True story, I was born at my grandfather's house and spent most of my childhood there. I had a lot of different encounters in that house. There are entities in various areas of the house, and they have their own unique characteristics or personality. My grandfather was well aware of them since they had been around since way before I was born. This started in the mid-90s for me. Very often when we're all in our rooms for bedtime, where we hear the sound of people in the kitchen setting the table, chairs being moved around, and utensils scraping against plates. I was more curious than alarmed when I first encountered it, since it doesn't sound violent. It sounds just like a family having dinner minus the talking. I even went down to the kitchen a few times to check, but everything is in place. Occasionally we see a very young short-haired girl in a grayish-white dress running around and quickly disappear. Sometimes she will run to you and through you from the other end of the hallway. This went on for years. Eventually me and my parents moved to another city. Fast forward to year 2020, my family went back to live with my grandfather since he was getting old and weak. My youngest brother is with us and seems to have an open third eye since he can see ghosts vividly and sometimes try to intentionally interact with them. When my grandfather died in October 2020, these ghosts appeared in my brother's dream. My brother said, "They showed me the house. I was inside, but the layout is different. Everything is gray. They are doing chores. The girl is playing outside. Even the trees are gray. They said, have a look around. We're leaving soon." After a while, they stopped what they were doing, stood up, looked at me, and they faded away. There were no more encounters after that. The house felt empty ever since. It was never the same.